Discussed at Friday's Medical Reform Committee talks was the government allowing interns and residents to get training at not only large hospitals, but also smaller ones. In the meantime, some professors at major hospitals took another day off on Friday amid the extended conflict between the government and trainees. President Yoon has named one of his former secretaries, Kumgangsan, as his senior secretary for civil and social agenda, completing the lineup for all of his top aides for now. Meanwhile, a cabinet reshuffle is likely to pick up speed, including the search for a new prime minister. As South Korea and Italy celebrate the year of cultural exchange, a traditional Korean dance performance is catching attention in the Italian capital, while there's much more to enjoy. It's May 10th, 2024. This is Newscenter.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Jung-min. We start with the extended dispute over medical reform. The government plans to allow interns and residents to get training at not only large hospitals, but also smaller ones. In the meantime, some professors at major hospitals took another day off while patient concerns grew. Yoon reports.
The government is going to restructure the country's medical residence training system to allow interns, residents, and other specialists to train not only in high-level general hospitals, but also in regional general hospitals and clinics. In addition, instead of the current tendency of people primarily seeking any sort of care at major hospitals, leading to competition for other non-urgent medical services, clear and distinct roles will be laid out for healthcare institutions at all levels. This could mean an increase in medical costs for those who haven't been given referrals from smaller hospitals or those with minor ailments that choose to seek care at high-level general hospitals. Such discussions took place during Friday's second meeting of the Special Presidential Committee on Medical Reform.
The government intends to promptly discuss ways to reduce the dependence on trainee doctors in high-level general hospitals.
The government also addressed the shortage of doctors in critical areas of medicine and that they will enhance compensation systems. At Friday's Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasure Headquarters meeting, Prime Minister Han Duck-soo said the government will ensure strict safety measures to ensure that all medical practitioners treating South Korean citizens are fully checked and verified. This comes as the Health Ministry announced earlier this week that it plans to allow doctors with foreign licenses to provide medical services in the country. But this will be limited to when the healthcare alert level reaches serious, as it is now due to the walkout. However, organizations representing doctors immediately criticized the decision, alleging it would result in a huge decline in the quality of medical services. During the meeting, Prime Minister Han also urged medical professors who are suspending outpatient treatment for 1 day a week this Friday to remain with their patients.
I hope the doctors act in the best interest of the patients. I believe that the majority of doctors who are at the hospitals are already doing so.
Medical professors began taking a weekday off each week starting on April 30th due to fatigue from covering for the thousands of trainee doctors who left their positions in late February. While this is not expected to lead to any major disruption to the medical system, patient concern continues. Medical professors will continue to provide inpatient treatment and surgery for emergency or critical patients. During Thursday's press conference, President Yoon highlighted the absence of a unified alternative proposed by medical organizations. To this, the head of the Korean Medical Association on Friday countered by urging the president to go back to square one and reconsider the medical school enrollment quotas and the essential healthcare policy package. Meanwhile, the government said it will be submitting supporting data for the increase of the admissions quota as requested by the court by Friday. Yoon, Arirang News.
Now officially in the third year for his 5-year term, President Yoon Suk-yeol's third lineup of top staff kicked off with the last vacant senior secretary role filled earlier today. What does this mean and what now? Our presidential office correspondent Kim Do-yeon explains.
What could be seen as a third lineup of President Yoon Suk-yeol's top aides has been formed with the last vacant position of Senior Secretary for Civil and Social Agenda filled. On Friday, the top office announced that former Secretary to the President for Civil Society and Communication Kumgangsan has been promoted to the position.
He is recognized for his political acumen and communication skills based on the rich experience and network he has accumulated in various social fields as a journalist.
The position had been vacant as the former senior secretary Hwang Sang-moo resigned in late March amid controversy after he made intimidating statements to a reporter while at lunch together. This third lineup is bigger than the last one, which was launched last November. The Senior Secretary for Civil Affairs is a freshly revived role, which will oversee secretaries for civil service discipline, legal affairs, and the newly created civil affairs. Civil Affairs Senior Secretary role was scrapped by President Yoon himself, a pledge he made during his campaign because the position had previously been seen as a role that helped the president abuse their power to control investigative offices.
그 기조를 지금까지 쭉 유지를 해 왔는데 아무래도 이 민심 이 청취 기능이 너무 취약해서 그동안 취임한 이후부터 뭐 언론 사설부터 뭐 주변의 조언이나 이런 것들을 많이 받았습니다.
Such a structural reshuffle comes after the ruling People Power Party's loss in the general election a month ago, and all top staff showed their intention to resign in response. The Chief of Staff and Senior Secretary for Political Affairs were the only resignations accepted, with new members appointed hoping for a bounce back from the loss. The president still has work to do with the reshuffle, the cabinet. Prime Minister Han Duck-soo has shown his intention to resign after the election loss as well, and President Yoon, during the 2-year anniversary press conference, said it's time to change the atmosphere in each ministry, to communicate more, and to get closer to addressing the public welfare. While he says he's not in a hurry, it's a tough situation, as these roles will require the opposition-led parliament's cooperation. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
In other news, North Korea has dismantled a South Korean government asset, the fire station at the Kumgangsan mountain resort. The Unification Ministry confirmed this on Friday and expressed strong regret over Pyongyang's unilateral removal. While urging the regime to immediately stop such actions, the ministry further warned of taking possible legal measures. The two-story fire station was built in July 2008, but was not used as tour programs at the resort were suspended after a South Korean tourist was shot dead near the resort by a North Korean guard at the time. The dismantling leaves only one South Korean asset left at the resort, the Reunion Center. Amid growing concern over North Korea's threats, South Korea's nuclear envoy held talks with his counterparts from the U.S., Japan, and China. Officials from Seoul and Washington reaffirmed their commitment to closely cooperate while calling on China to play a constructive role. Our Foreign Affairs correspondent Bae Yoon-ji has the details.
Nuclear envoys from South Korea, the U.S., Japan, and China are in Tokyo to take part in the Northeast Asia Cooperation Dialogue, an annual dialogue on foreign affairs and security. On the sidelines of the event, South Korea's Lee Jun-il, Director General for North Korean Nuclear Affairs as Seoul's foreign ministry, met with his American counterpart Chung Pak on Friday and stressed the need to call on China to play a constructive role in addressing North Korean issues. The two sides also agreed to keep a close eye on possible signs of the regime's satellite launch, while preparing against any attempts by the North to change the status quo in the West Sea, based on strong combined defense readiness. Pyongyang put its first military spy satellite into orbit last November, and has vowed to launch 3 more spy satellites this year. Last month, South Korea's military said the North appears to be making preparations for its next launch, although there are no signs of an imminent launch yet. Meanwhile, the day before their meeting, the nuclear envoys from South Korea, the U.S., and Japan met and highlighted the importance of maintaining close trilateral cooperation in addressing North Korean threats. The 3 officials reaffirmed their commitment to counter threats posed by the deepening military ties between North Korea and Russia. They also discussed human rights matters, including protection for North Korean asylum seekers, as well as the issues of abductions, detainees, and unrepatriated prisoners of war. Also on Thursday, the South Korean nuclear envoy held a separate meeting with his Chinese counterpart, Liu Xiaoming. South Korea's foreign ministry said they shared their evaluation regarding the recent situation on the Korean peninsula without providing further details. Arirang News.
South Korea's armed forces today engaged in the final day of a 3-day training on defending western border islands from North Korea. The military says it'll under no circumstances allow enemies to invade the South Territory. Our defense correspondent Choi Min-jung reports.
South Korea on Friday wrapped up a 3-day military drill aimed at defending the country's 5 westernmost border islands against North Korean attacks. The training began on Wednesday and was led by the Northwest Islands Defense Command. It involved the Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marine Corps and included live fire drills and counterterrorism simulations using military helicopters, F-15K and KF-16 fighter jets, destroyers, and landing ships, and more. The Marines explained that this is an annual defensive exercise focused on improving the military's response capabilities.
The Marine Corps will absolutely guard the northwestern islands so that enemies cannot invade our territory under any circumstances.
Representatives of the Armed Forces Daejeon Hospital also took part in line with efforts to bolster the military's medical response capabilities.
The goal of this training is to master the process of combining medical forces on the ground and in the air, so that we can become the last bastion for the soldiers protecting South Korea's land and territorial waters.
The drill came as tensions near the border islands escalated after North Korea early this year fired hundreds of artillery shells near the de facto maritime boundary between the two Koreas. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
Upon 2 years since taking office, President Yoon on Friday promised to tame inflation as he reached out to citizens in central Seoul. Yoon's office says the South Korean leaders spoke with office workers strolling along the Cheonggyecheon stream to hear what they had to say. He promised to do his best to stabilize price levels in a way that's tangible for citizens. He reissued his pledge at a nearby fruit and veggie market where he engaged with merchants and shoppers. Following the April 10th general election, where the ruling People Power Party saw a crushing defeat, the president has attributed the failure to the lack of tangible improvements in people's livelihoods and his lack of communication with the public. He has promised to make improvements on both fronts throughout the rest of his term. The government will apply new tariff quotas to certain products as part of efforts to stabilize prices amid high inflation. This as an emergency vice ministerial meeting took place on Friday. Starting from today, the tariffs will be reduced for 7 imported agro-fishery products, including 40,000 tons of carrots, 6,000 tons of cabbages, and 700 tons of seaweed. The Finance Ministry will also be releasing reserves of cabbages and radishes, as well as developing new farms for more seaweed. It also plans to provide more than 35,000 tons of imported fruits, such as bananas and kiwis. Shifting gears, Israel has resorted to tough talk to share its firm intentions to push ahead with the ground mission into Rafah, regardless of U.S. weapons support. Shin Se-byuk has more.
In a video message on Thursday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israelis were ready to fight with their fingernails, pushing back against the U.S. warning that it would halt weapons support for a planned operation in Gaza.
If necessary, we will fight with our fingernails. But we have much more than fingernails, and with that same strength of spirit, with God's help, together we will win.
Chief Israeli military spokesperson Daniel Hagari also confirmed that there was sufficient ammunition to carry out all planned military operations.
The army has munitions for the missions it has planned, and for the missions in Rafah too, we have what we need.
Defense Minister Gov't also expressed a firm commitment to the Rafah operation, stating the goal of achieving security would not be given up.
The state of Israel cannot be subdued. We will stand strong. We will achieve our goals. We will hit Hamas, we will hit Hezbollah, and we will achieve security.
As of Thursday, the Israeli military reported that 150,000 civilians have evacuated from eastern Rafah. They added that during the operation, at least 10 Hamas underground tunnels were discovered and 50 Hamas militants were killed. Meanwhile, the White House, while stating that the decision ultimately rests with Israel, maintained pressure, arguing that an attack on Rafah would only undermine Israel's position.
An enduring defeat on Hamas certainly remains the Israeli goal, and we share that goal with them. Smashing into Rafah, in his view, will not advance that objective.
This came amid reports that both Israeli and Hamas delegations have exited ceasefire negotiations in Cairo. To that, Washington said it was assessing Hamas' response to a proposed ceasefire and hostage release deal, but did not disclose any details of what was agreed. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
Russian leader Vladimir Putin hinted at the possible use of nuclear weapons against the West in a speech Thursday marking Soviet victory against Nazi Germany in World War II. Lee Seung-jae has the latest.
Victory Day has long been a special day for Russia, as it commemorates the Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany in 1945. To mark the day on Thursday, Russian President Vladimir Putin held his Victory Day speech at Red Square in Moscow. There, he stressed that Russia will do all it can to prevent a global clash, but added that his country will not sit idly by if threatened, as its nuclear forces are always in combat readiness.
Russia will do everything to prevent a global conflict, but at the same time, we will not allow anyone to threaten us. Our strategic forces are always in combat readiness.
While the Russian leader has used nuclear threats throughout the more than 2 years of the Ukraine war, his rhetoric in the past year has become increasingly belligerent. Last year, Putin pulled out of a nuclear test ban treaty and a key arms reduction agreement with the U.S. Earlier this week, he ordered his military to conduct nuclear drills near Ukraine, stoking fears that he could use tactical nuclear weapons on the battlefield. Meanwhile, Thursday's Victory Day parade showcased rows of Russian military equipment. However, it was notably scaled back compared to previous years, as many resources have been mobilized for the Ukraine front. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Time now for our weekly arts and culture segment. We have our culture correspondent Song Yoo-jin in the studio. Welcome back, Yoo-jin.
Great to be back, Jung-min.
What do you have for us today?
Well, Jung-min, last week our arts and culture took place in Paris, France, and this week it actually takes place in Rome, Italy, and that's because the 2024 to 2025 Korea-Italy Year of Cultural Exchange just kicked off last Saturday. Now, both countries will be engaging in a wide array of cultural programs to strengthen ties and promote mutual understanding. And while I was in Rome, I had the opportunity to attend the opening night festivities and get a glimpse of some of the main events and artists involved. So let's first take a look.
Rome, often referred to as the Eternal City, stands as a cornerstone of Western civilization, boasting centuries-old architectural marvels, art, and beauty. Now picture a traditional Korean dance performance in the heart of this Italian capital. Dancers dressed in hanbok move gracefully to the tunes of traditional Korean music. This is the National Kumgangsan's production, The Prince's Dream.
So with this opening performance, the Seja's Dream here at the Teatro Argentina in Rome, the Korea-Italy Year of Mutual Cultural Exchange has officially kicked off. The two countries have declared 2024 to 2025 as a year of cultural exchange.
This performance tells the tale of a crown prince stepping out of the palace to learn, feel, and understand the lives of his people. Accompanied by traditional music and dances such as Tepengmu, dance to hope for a prosperous world, and Saipurichum, dance to comfort departed souls. This show holds particular significance as we celebrate 140 years of diplomatic relations between Korea and Italy.
The Korea-Italy Year of Cultural Exchange was declared by the leaders of the two countries during their summit in Seoul last November to enhance bilateral ties through cultural diplomacy. The project comes in perfect timing, as Korean culture has seen a surge in popularity in Italy over the past several years.
The reason why certain Italians became very interested on Korea drama and etc. Yeah, so COVID plus the widespreading, Netflix, and second and third, I would say that students start to become very curious about. They want to know more about Korea beyond what they see, and for this reason, the number of students increase continuously.
As part of the initiative, the Culture Ministry will organize exhibitions featuring experienced Korean artists, tourism fairs, and festivals showcasing contemporary dance and cinema in Italy. Renowned Korean sculptor Kumgangsan's Colonna Infinita will be showcased at key landmarks in Rome, including the Piazza Bocca della Verita, for 4 months, starting in June.
I've been living and working in Italy for 31 years. I'm really grateful that my pieces will be showcased in Rome as part of the Korea-Italy Year of Cultural Exchange and the 140th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries.
Through these efforts, the Korea-Italy Year of Cultural Exchange aims to introduce the diverse facets of Korean culture, not just K-pop and K-dramas.
So if you ask about Korea, they talk about Hallyu, all contemporary things, skincare, beauty, technology, high technology, all these things. It's like if Korea from very poor countries became rich and there's no history behind.
While Korea is predominantly known for its modern cultural experts, like K-pop and dramas in Italy, it's important to recognize Korea's rich historical heritage and the diverse cultural treasures it offers, which we aim to introduce to Italy.
Throughout this year and the next, both countries hope to discover and explore more of each other's culture.
Strengthening cultural diplomacy often hinges on people-to-people interactions. Are there any upcoming events planned as part of the Korea-Italy Year of Cultural Exchange?
Well, there are quite a few, although specific details have yet to be finalized. For example, both countries are working to create a joint production that involves young artists from both countries and create like a big performance. And there are also discussions about inviting museum curators and tour agency officials from Italy to participate in exchange programs and fellowships in Korea. And also, the Culture Ministry plans to open a branch of the Korea Creative Content Agency Business Center in Italy by the first half of next year.
Our culture correspondent, Song Yujin, thank you.
My pleasure.
The daily temperature differences are extreme every day. It was a little chilly this morning, but the daytime temperatures rose nationwide. There's more rain forecast across the country tomorrow. Rain will start tomorrow morning in northern Gyeonggi-do province and northern Gangwon-do province and expand to various parts of the western regions, such as Seoul in the afternoon. At night, rain clouds will cover the whole country. In particular, there will be a lot of rain on the southern coast near Jirisang Mountain and Jeju Island, accompanied by thunderstorms and gusts. Up to 100 millimeters of rain is expected in mountainous areas of Jeju and 80 on the southern coast. Please be prepared ahead. Tomorrow morning, Seoul and Daejeon will start off at 14 degrees. Daily highs will move up to 23 in Seoul and Chuncheon, Daegu 24 degrees. After this rain goes away on Sunday, the clear and warm spring weather will continue for a while without any news of rain. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world. That is Newscenter for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session coming up.